All right, thanks everybody. I'm Elena Harkness, Executive Director of Current, which is Chicago's Water Innovation Cluster. And I am happy to be here to close us out this morning, kind of where we started, with another case study of a real-time sensing project right here in the city of Chicago. But first, I want to tell you a little bit more about why Current is here and why we exist and what we have to do with the sensing project. So I would argue that Chicago's water assets are globally significant for sure, but they're also our biggest asset that's kind of a best kept secret, and it's hiding right in plain sight. So what I mean by that is that we have incredible infrastructure assets here that people often don't know about. You know that we can see Lake Michigan right here, one of the largest freshwater sources in the world, really fortunate to be located there. But we also have incredible water infrastructure. We have the Jardine Water Filtration Plant, which is actually right off of Navy Pier and the largest intake plant in the world. Stickney Water Reclamation Plant. So this is one of the world's largest wastewater plants where we treat all of our storm and wastewater. We also have this incredible river connection to the whole Mississippi watershed. So we often talk about these things and we take them for granted. We wake up every day, we drink high quality water coming out of the tap, we flush everything away, and we don't really think about it much after that. But our water assets are also a tremendous economic asset. So we have a very diverse industrial base here in Chicago. We have a diverse economy. We have a strong talent pool in financing and capital. But the robust water economy that we have is a really untold story for a couple of different reasons. So we have the fourth largest water economy in the country, and one of the largest in the world. But we don't often talk about it that way. There's thousands of water companies in the Chicago region, but this is everything from pipes to particles. So when you think about what encompasses the water economy, it's creating the infrastructure that delivers the water to us and takes it away. It's transporting it. It's also understanding the underlying chemistry, the filtration. So it's a very diverse sector of the economy, and because of that, we sometimes have a hard time getting our arms around it, and we certainly have a hard time filling the gaps and building a stronger ecosystem to create thriving companies from startups to scale-ups in the water sector. So Current was really formed to address this issue and to leverage Chicago's incredible water assets by brokering stronger collaborations. You heard from Charlie and the team at Argonne this morning. We have a national lab. We have major universities that are doing cutting-edge research in water, in addition to all of the industries I just mentioned. And so Current was really started in 2016 to try to build strong collaborations between these different kinds of institutions to strengthen Chicago's water economy, ensure that we are the kind of leader that we know that we can be. So these are some of the partnerships that Current has formed to date. We are structured as a nonprofit organization, and we have affiliate members that range from our public sector partners here in Chicago, the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District and City of Chicago's Department of Water Management, we have global partnerships with Metropolitan, which is Israel's major global water company. We have industry partners like Nalco, the McLean Group. All of these folks here that are at the table are really part of trying to build a stronger water economy for all. So we've focused on innovation specifically because we think there's a big gap in bringing water technology to market. It's very great that we've got such a robust research pipeline, and we're answering hard questions in water. But then the work of bringing that technology into the market and to a scale that works with utilities that are as large as ours is a major challenge. And so one of the ways that Current works is by structuring smaller and more demonstrable partnerships that can help to prove out some of these technologies. So the one I'm going to talk about today is called H2 Now Chicago, and we're really excited about this for a couple of reasons. First, because I said in the beginning, we think there's sort of an invisibility problem with water. We don't talk about it enough. We take it for granted. So one of the things that we can do to address that is start to measure and monitor the quality of our river and our water in real time. So this real-time water quality monitoring project is the first in the US to be able to measure microbial levels in the river in real time. And microbial levels, we are basically looking at fecal coliform, not a great bug, but a good bug in that it's an indicator. If we we can measure fecal coliform levels in the river, it's often a good indicator that there's other bad stuff too. So basically we want to be understanding, as we have big rain events in Chicago, as our kind of river ebbs and flows, how does the status of our water quality change? So one of the ways that we work at Current is to identify the best available technology anywhere it is around the world. And so we've put together a truly global technology partnership for H2 Now. We have the Proteus probe, which this up at the top, that's our sensor. This is what does the real-time microbial monitoring. It's a piece of innovative technology that comes out of RS Hydro, which is a UK-based company. We've got IOSite, which is our analytics partner. They are an Israeli company that does all of the data analytics and helps us understand, interpret, and visualize what's going on with the state of the river. And then we have Tech to PDS, which is a piece of technology out of Canada that is actually a portable microbiology lab that allows us to do the testing of the water, the physical testing, to calibrate and make sure that what the sensors are telling us is actually trued up to what's happening in real time in the river. And then we have Comcast, an American partner that has been a wonderful partner to us, that's helping us make sure that we're communicating with the sensors all over the river. Oops. Sorry. Okay, so here, these are the three branches of the river. You all may know we have the main stem. That's where our river walk, the majority of our river walk is, right down in the central loop. We have the north branch, which extends up to the northwest. And then we have the south branch, which goes through Bridgeport and Chinatown and feeds out. And it's really important for us. You heard the previous panel talking about data equity and sort of having visibility of what's going on in conditions all around our city. We made an effort to have probes installed in all 3 points along the river. First, because they actually behave very differently, which is something that you may not know if you haven't given a lot of thought to how the river works. But it matters because the neighborhoods that are adjacent to these rivers are very different. And so referring back to points made by all the earlier speakers, we want to know what's going on throughout the full range of our city and how water quality is affecting broader quality of life issues. Okay, so now because you are all technical people, I want to show you a little bit more about the underlying technology, and I'm going to do that using the words of these tech providers themselves, which will be a little bit easier, but bear with me. This is always let's see. Okay, so first you're going to hear from the probes.
Here's the problem. You have to send someone to collect a sample, which costs time and money to do. They'll be exposed to potential biohazards and health and safety risks. Samples can easily become contaminated unless obtained with absolute precision. Refrigeration, transport and storage all introduce yet further potential risks to the accuracy of the results. To top it off, the sample needs to sit in the lab for 5 days before you even know you have an emergency on your hands. And while we're waiting, you still only end up with a plus or minus 15% uncertainty in the results, even with the very best laboratories. Which isn't surprising, considering that we haven't changed the way we do this for over 100 years.
Okay, so you get a sense, that's the major problem we're dealing with the probe. So prior to now, you actually had to do this testing. It would take a long time. By the time you get the results back, your day of kayaking has passed. Your decision whether or not you're going to go, am I going to kayak in the river, am I going to do something else adjacent to the river, it's too late. So it was really important to us to find something that was portable, cost-effective, but most importantly, could give us the readings in real time. Okay, so now I'm going to show you the other piece of this that's really important for us right now while we're in calibration, is to actually be able to know that the information these probes are giving us is correct. So I'm going to show you what the Tecta instrument does for us. That's dramatic. Hang on. Let's cut to the deck. Okay. Okay, so now that you're ready to dance, you're warmed up with that great dance music from Tekta. This is all really important for us because we've actually had teams of volunteers going out into the river every time that there is a major combined sewer overflow event. So for those of you who don't follow either Friends of the Chicago River or MWRD, you can actually sign up for these alerts. So when we have a massive rain event in the city, it'll let you know, and it lets us know too. And then we have a team of volunteers that we actually go out to each of those 3 points where the probes are installed along the river and collect samples in real time. And this is what that looks like. So this is a device that we totally DIY'd ourselves, made out of PVC pipe and a little collection tube. And you'll see us out there with safety vests, actually dangling it off a bridge, catching some of the water from the middle of the river, really important to catch it from the middle, and raising it up. And that was a really fun thing that we did all summer long with our volunteers. So now that we've been through this summer and we've been through this process of going and testing, checking the calibration, we've been talking with our partners here in the US. We've been working with MWRD really closely on the data interpretation, as well as our partners in Israel who have the data interpretation with IOSite. And we are basically checking to make sure that what we get out of the real river is matching up to what the probes are telling us. So we're in this calibration phase. We've also launched our website, h2nowchicago.org, and this is where in spring 2020, we're actually going to be making the real-time data available to everyone in Chicago and beyond to understand what's going on in the river at any given time. And so again, you'll see we've got sensors across, you'll be able to see readings across each of the stems. And right now that website has a lot of great static information, the history of the river, why river quality monitoring is important, why we're looking at fecal coliform in particular, what these each piece of technology does for us. But going forward, you'll also see we'll have trends over time, and we'll have a lot more information about interpreting the data. We also hope to have partnerships like the one Charlie talked about in Lane Tech with Chicago Public Schools and others to be able to have students understanding and interpreting the river in real time. So this is a really important public outreach project for us. These are some of our partners at MWRD. This is what the sensor technology looks like in the wild, and the Tekta probe or the Tekta monitor when we were actually going and collecting the samples. All of this would not have been possible but for a really wonderful plan that the City of Chicago partners put together called Great River Chicago. So if you don't know about this plan, definitely check it out. It's about 2 years old, and it has launched many different activities that are all focused on the robust sort of health and vitality of our river ecosystem here, enhancing recreational opportunities on the river, and building an economic growth strategy that uses this wonderful asset that we have to the best of its capabilities. So these are some of the things that have been named as goals in the Great River Chicago plan. You'll see real-time water quality information was one of them. So Current basically said, look, this is something that we are perfectly equipped to do. We can help identify the partners, find the right technology, and structure a pilot at a scale that is manageable so that we can start to get towards this goal of real-time water quality information for the river as a whole. This is really important to Current because it also gets to global goals. The Sustainable Development Goals of clean water and sanitation, sustainable cities and communities, life below water that's quality. These are some of our North Stars at Current. So we see, again, the management of this asset that we have, these wonderful water assets that we have in Chicago, they're not just for us. These are truly globally valuable resources. And so the protection of our great rivers, understanding the quality of our rivers and our lake, these are really important goals, not just for us, but for the world. So some of the partners on this project that we haven't mentioned yet, they extend beyond the technology. Our utilities, as I said, we couldn't have done this without them. There are very complicated right-of-way and access issues that MWRD has been a terrific partner, helping us to install the technology, to work on monitoring the quality over time. We have tremendous community engagement partners, the Sierra Club, the North River Commission, Friends of the Chicago River, South Loop Chamber. These folks really are getting volunteers. They've mobilized them from across the city to help with this. So it's a great opportunity to educate them, and then they can educate their networks about why this is important. Funding, as we mentioned, the Chicago Community Trust has been a tremendous supporter of the Great Rivers Chicago Plan. We couldn't have done it without them, and Comcast made it possible for us to install that third probe on the South Branch, allowing us to make sure we have this full coverage of the entire river ecosystem. So, the quality of life issues that we mentioned, tracking the quality of the water in the river in real time. This is the new boathouse on the South Branch, the kayaking. Understanding the baseline quality of our water is important because for all of us to make smart decisions about using the river and also smart decisions about how we can improve that quality, it starts with having a strong baseline. We've been very fortunate to have good coverage up till now of the beta testing. This is our City of Chicago's Commissioner Randy Connor and President Carrie Steele. We launched the beta site at WEF Tech, which is our big storm and wastewater conference here in Chicago this year. And there's also a great WTTW piece about this. But going forward, we're really excited to get into the summer recreational season with this real-time data that's live to the public. And that milestone we hope to go by the start of the recreational season, which is right around Memorial Day. We'll be working with all of our partners to develop plans to have events along the river, to build signage along the river, and make it more visible and apparent to folks that this project is live and in progress. There's a milestone. Great. So we really encourage all of you to follow along with this project. Our website, again, is live, as I said, and there are going to be lots of other ways that you can get involved with the Great Rivers Chicago Plan and the H2 Now Chicago Monitoring Project. So please follow us. Stay tuned. I want to also encourage all of you on the H2 Now Chicago website. We actually have a survey that is open right now, and it is collecting baseline perceptions about the river. And so this is really important because many people that I know that I talk to, they think the river is absolutely toxic. We should never go anywhere near it. And people that kayak and talk about wanting to swim in it are totally out of their minds. We don't think that's true. We actually know just from the data that we've been collecting that the river's actually in better shape than many people think, but it's also really important to monitor those changes in real time. We'd like to know what you think. How do you feel about the river? What do you think right now? Because one of the things we're interested in tracking is after we've been live with this data and the H2 Now project has been open for business for a while, we'd like to see how that changes. So we're really interested in how real-time data sensing can affect the way that we perceive, experience, and enjoy our Chicago River. So thank you very much. I'll be around after this if you want to come and talk more about Current or the H2 Now project. Be really excited to do that, but thanks so much.